So far, there have been 9 brutal murders throughout the area, and 3 women still remain missing. Most recently, the murders of Patricia Randolph and William Adams have left the community on edge. Meanwhile, investigators have noticed several similarities between the murders and are certain that they are now dealing with a serial killer.
Come down the valley with me. Come down where darkness came to be. Come down, the story still told. The night the shotgun slayer took hold. Come down the valley with me. No stranger thing has happened, you see. Come down, so brazen and bold. The night the shotgun slayer took hold.
On December 3rd, 1977, Richard and Donna Hyde are in their Moon Township home, spending time with their 2 daughters. Richard has been with the Moon Area School District since 1965 and is currently the principal of Fern Hollow Elementary School. While Donna, a beautician, she mainly works from home.
Towards the evening hours, something occurred at the house that caused Richard Hyde to put the lighting, he had some security lighting on the corners of the house. He put them on at nighttime. The neighbors said they never did that before. At one point, Mrs. Hyde was in the bathroom that night, and Mr. Hyde was in bed on the telephone.
An intruder breaks the side window out of a door and enters the Hyde's home.
He then went into the house, went past the hallway where the bathroom was at and would have passed Mrs. Hyde, and confronted Mr. Hyde in the hallway. Mr. Hyde was on the telephone talking to someone when he realized something was going on. Mr. Hyde had a gun in the nightstand, but he never took the gun out.
Richard is shot with a 12-gauge shotgun as he enters the hallway of their home. He stumbles towards the kitchen where he falls and dies. Donna, she runs exiting the house, heading towards the property owned by Richard's parents.
Mr. Hyde's family owned that property and the property over the hill. Mrs. Hyde, as we followed her footsteps, we found that she ran out of the house, ran down the hill, and this is quite some distance, and attempted to get to the Hyde residence over the hill. We could see the fact that she was trying to climb this short hill and she was slipping and sliding, and we finally found her body along Floggerty Run, which was found under a tree, in which she was naked from the waist down, and her clothing was laying next to her body. And she died of blunt force trauma to the head and exposure because it was a really cold night. The 2 bodies of Mrs. Hyde and Mrs. Wyman were eerily similar. I mean, it was just really kind of send a chill up and down your spine. There were 2 daughters that were left behind. I never touched the kids, and my recollection was that the kids either hid under a bed or in a closet. It was difficult to deal with some of these cases because, you know, we're human beings too, and we're dealing with moms and dads being murdered brutally and children being left orphaned. So that was tough.
In October, the community became terrified after John Feeney was murdered and after Renee Greger disappeared. Now, the Hyde's murders further put the community on edge.
The whole fabric changed. All of a sudden, everybody had guns. Everybody had a gun in the house, and prowler calls went sky high. Stuff that people would never have called the police about before because they heard a funny noise in their yard, no longer, because everybody felt that it was this mysterious serial killer.
Once it was clear and once it was published in the Times that we were looking at a serial killer, a lot of things changed. A lot of people, even in the rural areas, would lock their doors. The Humane Society had a rush on adoptions of dogs. People were frightened and were very aware of what was going on.
With pressure increasing from the community, The task force continues to multiply in manpower. Gun sales throughout the region continue to increase, and people are driven by fear to take up arms in their homes.
We set up, I remember setting up a command post up at, it was at the Holiday Inn in Moon Township, because that would be centrally located, especially after the Richard and Donna Hyde case. And if we were going to go and talk to people, we would have to call them first on the phone and tell them who we are, tell them the time that we would be coming, because we had to protect ourselves. They would meet us at the door with, a shotgun. And this was new to law enforcement in our area. It took a long while for us to finally recognize what we were dealing with.
The task force reaches out to Ohio authorities about the murder of David Hamilton and the disappearance of his wife, Linda. Despite Pennsylvania's interest in the Hamilton murder, Ohio authorities move forward, and on December 27th, they issue a warrant for Linda Hamilton based on the fact that they think that this missing mother of two could be responsible for her husband David's murder. And everyone seems to have a theory. Regardless, no theory reveals the answer, and many questions still remain. The start of the new year, 1978, is fast approaching, and even though the investigation really needs to catch a break in the case, what happens next only adds to their workload. On New Year's Eve, 1977, Guy and Laura Mills, both in their 60s, are found shot in their Breezewood home, located right off the turnpike in south central Pennsylvania. 3 miles away from the Mills home, 36-year-old Joel Druger is found in his car along I-70 in Brush Creek Township. His wallet is empty. The shotgun that killed him was the same one used to murder the Mills. A vigilant neighbor sees a vehicle parked near the Mills home and takes down the license plate number, leading to a major break in the case.
And Sergeant Tokarczyk, who was with the state police at the time, got the license number, ran the license number, determined it was from Aliquippa, and the name of Ed Surratt came up, and then we started looking more, and that's how Ed Surratt's name came into this.
Who is Edward Surratt, and is he responsible for these vicious killings throughout Pennsylvania and eastern Ohio? Join us on the next episode of Notorious, when another life is senselessly taken, but this time one of the other victims survives, giving investigators their very first opportunity to talk to a living witness who has seen the suspect known as the Shotgun Slayer.